And welcome to the Talon Outdoors Show. I'm Charlie.
I'm JD.
And I'm Fred.
And I'm Grant.
Yep. And we got Robert hiding over there.
So I got in the martinis the other night.
Oh, Lord. Here it goes. He's like, what are we going to talk
That
about?
took
Here we go. That
5
was like,
seconds.
He had that one. He had that barrel loaded.
I'll trump
on
you
hair
one.
trigger.
I'm going to get into the martinis tonight, and I don't even like martinis. It's been that kind of week.
The lit elf.
I came home the other night, and there was a open can of ginger beer on the counter over where we keep the liquor.
Somebody
that
got
was
a
not there
Kentucky
when I
mule,
left. And I
Kentucky
said,
mule going on.
I said, who's drinking? And she held up a drink over her head from the recliner. I went, oh, it's one of them kind of days. She goes, I never do this. And I went, no, you don't. I don't. And she might have told me about it. I don't know. But
Yeah, so I picked up the
martinis.
Yeah, the first thing I did was I'm looking out at the pool, and I picked up the ukulele and started singing Melakalukalaki, and wife didn't like that. So then I got the 12-string out, and I'm thinking, I'd like to record some of this bumper music that opens this show.
Well, there you go.
And I might do that.
Okay, cool.
And I might even get the banjo out.
We've been. There's a joke there.
Make y'all squeal like a pig.
Drive till you hear banjos.
Yep, that's it.
Turn around and go back about a mile. You'll be all right.
Well, as one of the rednecks in this room, I don't think I'm going to be squealing.
No, I'm Bert with the bow and arrow, buddy. You gonna have problems.
Probably not good to be the smallest guy in the room.
And talking like that.
Who was in that movie? There was
Burt Reynolds was in
Ned
it.
Beatty, Burt Reynolds. I can't remember the other guy's name. That there was their buddy, John Voight.
Yeah,
in
he
it.
was in. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I remember. You
Yeah,
can't
it's
get
got
around
that
this
steel
thing.
trap.
You can't get around this thing, man. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, dueling banjo is a fun song to play, and I can do it on the guitar and the banjo.
Well, there you go. Play both sides of it.
doesn't Ned Beatty and Fred, they got a little
Oh, jeez.
He was the
little
one.
bit of a resemblance.
He was the one squealing like a pig.
That's where I was going with that. Why do you think I asked who was in that movie? You brought it up.
We are short on.
You started this.
Hang on. We're a little short on toothless hillbillies right here. So,
Yeah.
Grant, you gonna knock some teeth out, buddy? No, you pass.
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
I appreciate it, though. It's a nice offer, but thanks.
He comes up. He's classing the place up. Look,
He is.
does.
Look at
He's
him
got
all
the tie on.
suit and
fancy
things.
stuff.
It's
No,
the
that-
uniform now.
Suit
If you
and
look at the
things.
tie, it matches the shirt. It's got the maroon in it with
Yeah.
the maroon stripe.
He's somebody.
His
the
wife
wife might approve.
his wife dresses him. I guarantee
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Oh, no. No, this is all me, buddy.
My wife
There's
dresses.
another side to that story. I don't know what it is, but his reaction just spoke volumes of something. I don't know what. I'm not.
So-
we get that on the break.
So my son got engaged a week or so ago, and they're
To
getting
the
married.
lady that was here.
Yeah.
And congratulations.
Woo, congratulations to him. I mean,
Yeah,
I want to live vicariously through him.
yeah. They're
And she spent time around you and still said yes.
she even tells me when we hang up the phone and talking, she says, "Love you." So yeah, there you go. I love you too, baby.
I want to live vicariously through you.
They're no, it's a sweet Taylor Brantley, sweet girl. We love her. So proud of Justin and her and all this good stuff. So this time next year he'll be married. And you talking about wife dressing you. So I get a text yesterday from my wife, and she said, "This is the new suit you're getting for the wedding."
Oh.
And I said, "Yes, ma'am."
So
Okay.
you didn't pull one of those father of the brides and go up into the attic and pull the old tuxedo out and try to fit in it?
I've never owned a tuxedo. Thank you, Fred. I don't know that I even have a suit right now that would actually fit me or doesn't have moth holes in it or whatever. It's been a long time since I put on a suit.
I go up in the attic and I've got some sports coats I think left. I don't know that I have any suits anymore. And if I do, I can promise you that suit that used to be big on me,
Probably
it ain't no more.
Yeah, I've got some suits in the plastic bags hanging up in the closet upstairs, and I just don't do suits. I'm like you. I put on a sport coat and a pair of jeans, and if it's got to be dressier than that, I ain't going.
Listen, if it requires me to dress up beyond like my suede type sports coats, things like if it requires me to look like that,
ain't gonna do it.
I ain't unless it involves a whole bunch of money, and then I will go shopping for a lot. I will sell out. I will wear that stuff for money. But that's it.
I do it every day.
If you want
You
me
do
to
it for money every day.
if you want me to dress up to go to your funeral or your wedding, I will pour out half a bottle of liquor for I'll give you, here's one for the homies, and then I will sit and I'll have something at the house, but I ain't coming. I'll be that guy carrying the pine box that's wearing cowboy boots and blue jeans, and
There you go. That's
So,
right.
so my funeral, you're gonna be in the balcony, is what you're saying?
No, sir.
You gonna stream it live?
It's just ain't gonna be but the two of us as pallbearers. So I mean, we can touch it.
You get that in, I get this one. You want to walk? You want to go backwards or forwards?
Yeah, I'll scoop him up. Hang on a second. Let us scoop him up. I'll throw it on my
Just
shoulder.
throw that
walk
on your shoulder, and let it go. Like a sack of feed.
I was going to say, if I can, I'm still man enough to throw one 50-pound sack over each corn over each shoulder and walk out the door for when customers buy corn. So I can still do that. I can tote you.
Yeah.
So speaking of weights,
I'm coffin shopping for my husband. Do you have a kids section?
so
Well, we don't talk about that, man, but unfortunately we do.
so
That's morbid. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Terrible.
yeah.
My apologies. My apologies.
Well, speaking of weights, and this will surprise you coming from my genes, but last weekend I was in Clearwater, Florida, which nice place to visit. Don't think I'd want to live there. My son competed. This is my youngest son, competed in statewide weightlifting, powerlifting competition.
Wow.
And he was 2 pounds over what he was supposed to be to fit in his weight class, and they made him go to the higher.
Bump up a notch.
Right. So he had to lift with these other guys who were much bigger than him. So he could either be in that or he could
Try to drop weight.
Well,
Too late for that.
He tried to drop the weight, and he sweated everything he could out, and he finally said, "Look, I'm not going to be able to walk if I'm."
That's all I got.
Yeah, and so he could have either gone to the higher weight class or say he was transgender, and I was trying to get my high heels and lipstick to bring to him so he could. And but I didn't want him to wear the high heels because I was afraid he's going to stretch them out. And doggone if that kid didn't compete in the higher weight class and came home with the bronze.
Awesome.
And now he's set to go to the Nationals in May and compete. And they're in Vegas, and I've never been to Vegas.
You have
You've never
Red
been.
Conrad. I've never been to Vegas.
It's kind of like
Sin City. You haven't been.
yeah, and there's a reason for that. I mean,
Yeah, we're never going to get you back.
well, that's what I'm afraid of. And I might get out there and like it.
You will.
You think?
We don't anymore. But
Okay.
You will. You will like it. It's.
I don't know, man. I think Fred puts on a lot of airs about being. I think the Fred persona. The Fred persona might like it. The real Fred's going to be like us and really turned off by it, I think.
Well, I liked it the first 3 or 4 or 5 times we went, and after that, I got where I didn't like it anymore because I got burnt out on it because it's the same stuff over and over again. It's like
It
going to
doesn't
the fair.
change.
How many times you want to ride that ride?
It really, other than the warm smell of whatever the Eagle song.
Calikas?
Yeah, there you go.
Rising up through there.
Yeah. Other than that, it hasn't changed a lot. Now that got progressively worse through the years of us going to SHOT Show.
Well, used to you walk down the road and go, I smell weed. I wish they wouldn't do that. Now it's, hey, I don't smell
I
weed.
don't smell weed. We're going to stay here
Let's stay
for a
right-
little bit.
Hang out right here in this breeze. And
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some of the Elvis impersonators, I thought about doing
not
that.
as prevalent as you would think.
You need to go to Fremont. You definitely go to Fremont Street. That's the old Vegas. Now that's cool to me.
Yes.
It's still cool, and that's where you have the street performers that are not just nasty and stuff. And that's the old strip at Vegas that you see on the movies. When you see the car slide up in front of the casino and all that stuff. That's that Fremont Street, and it's entirely the entire street has like a dome over it, a canopy over it, where they project
So light
shows,
oh,
and
awesome.
you can get on the
Zip line.
You can get on a zip line
that's
and
cool.
zip line the entirety of Fremont Street.
How
and
far away is the
fly-
chicken ranch?
I don't know.
No, we didn't go there. Tell you where there's some good sushi, all you can eat too.
Yeah, if you like sushi,
Off
we
the
got
strip.
we got the hookup for you.
Oh, yeah?
We get our priorities squared away. All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. Fred giving out wild turkey breast recipes here on the break.
Yeah, we was on the break, and my phone went off, and looked down there, and there's a gobbler with a doggone paintbrush hanging down in front. I mean, a fine gobbler just walked out in front of the camera up there, and we were talking about fried turkey breast strips. I never forget the first time I fed that to my kids, because kids, there probably any kid on the planet that don't like chicken tenders or fingers or whatever. Yeah. And I was over there cutting that stuff up. What's that, Daddy? I said, chicken tenders. It's just this is what it looks like, just kind of, because all my kids, when they're young, they don't want to try anything new. They want to eat what they want to eat, what they know is good, and throwing something new on them is hard. But I cooked up a bunch of that stuff, stripped it up and fried it like that. Daddy, this is the best chicken fingers I ever had. I'm like, yeah, it ought to be. It's hard to get.
Yeah, you run a lot of these rednecks, and they see a big deer with big, horns on him, or they see a turkey with a brush on there, or, a pheasant. That's pretty. I'd like to have them on my wall. I see these wild game when they come by. I'm not looking at it. I start salivating.
Fried golden brown.
I mean, it's kind of like those old cartoons where the coyote sort of pictures a road runner, and he sees him dressed out and with the little hats on his legs, coming out of the forest.
Yeah. Therefore, the Neil guy.
The Neil guy. I mean, when I see an elk, I'm like, I gotta eat that thing.
So we were having chicken the other night, and Robert Henson, my stepfather, not that Robert, that went hunting with us.
Just the mention of sitting down to eat with him tickles me.
Well, so so I love my mother's Italian, and Robert's whatever he cooks. When he cooks, he goes all out. So he says, "Hey, we're having chicken over at the house." I'm like, I'm there. So I show up, and
do you have his Crocs on?
If he's got wearing shoes, he's got Crocs on.
All right.
So although I think he may be about to upgrade, and let me tell you why I think so. So Robert's been driving this old Ford Ranger, the old school Ranger, for a while. Now it's held together literally with stuff the bed's rusting off of it. He's had to. I don't know if it's baling wire. So it's like that. And the other day he goes, "Yeah, Charlie, I wish he was on the show to tell the story. He does it so much better because it's just he's not trying to be funny. He's just talking." And so he says, all right, so my truck's running hot the other day. I had to go up there to Charles Hagler. Now, Charles Hagler was the barber over there for many years. Mm-hmm. All right, and so he's a character in this story. Now, he stood on his feet 40, 50 years cutting everybody's hair, and he's got a little he's got a farm up north of town. I mean, everybody in Jackson County knows Charles Hagler. He's the first guy that ever pronounced that I was going to go bald when I was a teenager, because you're going to lose your hair, and I've been mad at him ever since. And so
and talked up that evil.
And so, but he's got this farm, and then we got another friend of the family, Donald White, who is a former mechanic, farmer, pig farmer, and all this stuff. And his son paints water towers, a real successful family, but he's just dug a pond. And I was having some issues there with trying to keep fish in it and all. And so that's just sort of the background. So Robert's going, my truck's running hot. I need to do something about getting a new truck. And I went out the other day, and I went up there to Charles Hagler's to pick up some manure from my worm beds. And we're sitting there eating chicken. He goes, I went up to Charles Hagler's to get some manure from my worm beds, and I was bringing that back. And Donald White had called me about those turtles in his pond eating his fish, so I had to. He called them all up and called me and said he had a bunch of them. He was going to kill them, but he didn't really. And so I told him, no, don't you kill those turtles now. I'll come up here and pick them up, and I'll go put them over at so-and-so's house, and we'll turn them back loose again because I don't want to lose them. So I went up there to Charles, and I talked to him for a while, and I was coming back, and my truck started running hot. But I had time to go by Donald's and pick up that load of turtles. And, when I got back to the house, my truck's making this look sound. And I said, stop, Robert, stop right there. I want you to stop telling that story. And he looked at me and said, what? And I said, this is why I moved back to Mariana. If that ain't the redneckest story, I said, and that's not even a joke. You're telling this story because it happened
yesterday.
Because it just happened, And it's a normal day for you.
He's not exaggerating.
To go.
I had a load of manure and Strickland head turtles, and
you get like 50 anecdotes to get to the point. You don't even know what the point was by the time. And if you saw a picture of this guy, you're like, yeah, I believe that's exactly the story he told.
Well, the next day I went down to, he told me what he was looking for, and I said, I ran by the Nissan dealership there and talked with Mark Bell, one of the salesmen, and said, hey, you got a used Nissan Frontier about this year with this many miles. I said, yeah, that one came in last night. I looked at it and I said, well, clean it up. And they buffed it out. Robert and my mom went up there and bought that thing. I don't know that Robert's ever had a truck that nice. Not in my lifetime he hadn't. And he is so excited about this truck. Beautiful, beautiful 4-wheel drive. It pulled a boat.
So
it's
you're
not
be out
falling
there
apart.
polishing it in the rain.
I said, Robert, you're gonna keep on, and you're gonna start wearing real shoes.
I know
he goes. You might be right.
So I have a question. We got to know the answer.
I don't know what's gonna take to get him out of his sweatpants, but
he was out there in a pheasant with sweatpants on in the middle of
Crocs.
a cornfield, sweatpants and Crocs. I'm like, really?
And the sad part is my mama's hearing him tell this story, and she's not thinking twice about it. And when I stopped him,
how many turtles?
And I turned around and I said, let me tell this back to you. And my mama's over there laughing her butt off now. And I'm like, you live with him. You married him.
But what did he do with the turtles?
He turned them loose somewhere. I totally missed the point of where they got going. He
And
was just
what
trying
did
to
they
do
even
his
have to
part
do
for
with the
nature.
story? I mean,
He was transplanting the turtle.
So
who transplants a turtle?
well, because he didn't want the turtles to die because they were eating the fish in the pond, and he was like, "Well, I'll go get them, and I will go take them somewhere
let
else."
him eat the fish in somebody else's pond, or?
Probably somebody he didn't like. I don't know. There's if there's anybody he doesn't like, but he, and I told him at the end of it, I said, one thing you missed is those turtles eat pretty good, Robert. You can fry them up just like this chicken right here. It'd be pretty good, and I'd like to try that. Okay. I honestly would, but man,
you want a fried turtle?
But I tell you what, oh yeah. But I tell you what,
I'm all about
that chicken is beyond anything you're gonna get anywhere. It's that good.
What, Fred?
I'm all about broadening horizons. Trying new things, learning different cultures. I'm gonna draw the line at a fried turtle.
Why? Tastes like chicken.
Dude,
everything tastes like chicken. And
green turtle soup.
I don't want no green turtle soup. I mean, how you do
know that a lot of the reason that most of the sea turtles, the species of today, the reason they are endangered is because they were such a delicacy in the 20s and 30s back in the old market hunting days. The reason that a lot of those are endangered is because it was so good, and it was an expensive delicacy served up in the big cities in the north, that it was worthwhile for people to go out and catch sea turtles to sell to the restaurants.
I've never seen a sea turtle, and I've seen a lot of them.
What?
I've never seen a sea turtle and gotten to salivating like I do when I see an elk.
Yeah, but when you see that sea turtle out there swimming around, what do you always do when you're in the boat? You stop and look around for the rocks.
Look around for the. I mean, if you see a sea turtle
for the bottom, you stop and look for hard bottom underneath him. So
if you're riding out there and you see that head pop up, you stop and go right to where it is and drop your line.
Yeah, looking for a cobia falling under him or hard bottom on the bottom where he's hanging out.
There's rocks. They're there.
Yeah,
if
somewhere.
You see that sea turtle.
Somewhere close by. But yeah,
I wonder how many of them would fit in the back of a pickup truck.
Not many. Some of them jokers get
some of them get pretty doggone big.
Yeah.
I actually rode one once.
Yeah.
The sea turtle.
Yeah.
It was way past statute of limitations. But yeah, diving. And
I've done the same thing. Grab one by the
back
right behind his head at the shell and hang on.
Yeah, just hang on. He'll take you for a ride.
Yeah. Yep, done the same thing. But yeah, that's the streaked head turtle, soft shell turtles, a delicacy. They're delicious. Huh. I've actually, when I was a kid growing up, my dad and some of the other guys in the community around there used to pull gopher tortoises.
Yeah,
what you call them now.
Yeah.
They made this long, stiff, kind of really heavy gauge wire like you would use to tension a fence with.
Yeah.
If you have you set up a brace on the fence and you want to tension your wire with it, we twist it with put a log in there and roll it up. Charlie, that's what I'm talking about when you're building a fence. But anyway,
tensile wire.
Tensile wire. So they'd take it and they'd put a hook on the end of it, and they'd get a piece of wire about 10 or 12 feet long with a hook on the end of it and have that attached to a big long wooden handle, 2-3 foot long wooden handle, and they'd take that wire and run down a gopher hole, feel around till you grab the hold of that, you pull on it till you grab the hold of that gopher. Once you got it hooked and something pulled back, it took 2 or 3 grown men sometime to pull that joker up out of that hole.
Huh.
But they were doing that to eat them. They're
Really?
Oh yeah, delicious.
I mean, those things live about 100 years. So.
Yeah, and they're protected now, and you know they're
You can't even
highly
own one as a pet now.
highly protected now.
Now, when I was a kid, I had one as a pet.
When I was a kid, they were not protected, and they got eaten and caught for the 4th of July gopher races.
Oh yeah.
You remember those?
Oh yeah.
So, but a lot of those got eaten after the race was over because they're really good to eat.
I was growing up, there used to be little box turtles everywhere. I can't hardly find. I don't think I've seen one.
I hadn't seen a box turtle in a long time.
Yeah.
Now I get the turtles out of the Lake Ammonia that come across the road and lay eggs in my yard. I got
Those
holes
soft shell jobs.
No, they're the old streaked head.
Yeah.
Streaked head. I don't know what the proper name for them.
We had a bunch in our pond, and they just aren't there anymore. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. My alligators.
Maybe Robert
backing
came and
up
got
on
them
it.
all and hauled them off
Yeah,
in his truck.
Gators are heavy.
I've got me a gator in the pond right now. I think that's going to take care of the anhinga problem we've been having.
They could do
The
that.
who-
Oh, yeah.
what problem?
Anhinga.
Water turkey, bird.
Oh, I thought you had an ant hinga that was swimming in the
I
pond.
probably
you
do
wanted
have
it to go
an
away.
anhinga.
I'm like,
I do want her
I
to
don't
go
know what
away.
you-
You probably have cormorants, not anhingas.
I'm pretty sure.
Long-
We've had that discussion before.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you might have either. You might
Either
have
one.
both.
I don't like either one of them. Put it that way. I'm glad to
I
have
really
that
don't
gator.
like you either. We'll be right back.
The show about nothing.
It's a show about
It really is.
or turtles and cow shit.
I thought you were going to say that he stepped in the cow shit and got it in his Crocs, and that's why he was going to change his shoes.
What conversation on the planet has ever started with or ever become my truck overheated because I had a load of cow manure and turtles in the back?
That I was going to feed my worm farm.
I forgot about that. I guarantee you that conversation has never taken place on the planet ever.
I don't know.
Think
I
about
happened at the dinner table.
I got to go get some
I'm like-
manure when we're done.
I'm eating, and that chicken's good. And I'm not paying attention to anybody saying it. He started telling that story, and I'm like, blah, 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 Charles Hagler, cow manure. Bang, my truck, that went down there, got that load of turtles, and that's when I looked up. And I went, what?
Yeah. Getting a load of manure ain't no big deal, but when you throw turtles on top of it, what's the world coming to? The end of times is nigh.
You got to get Robert in here
Uh,
just to sit him over here and just have him just
Comment
tell him,
ever so often.
just pop up and comment. When he was on that South Dakota trip, he'd just pop up every now and then with something, and you'd be like, what?
he's sitting there, he'll think about it. And it reminds him of stories, and it helps when you know the people in the stories he's got to tell. But he's got some stories.
He sat next to me in the van driving up there and driving back overnight on the overnight haul. They don't sleep much apparently, but he was sitting over there in the passenger seat just keeping me awake and just talking. And I got the biggest kick out of listening to him.
Just going on.
He's eating.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah, I guess it was second day, maybe first day. We'd done the first hunt, and he was like,
let's do the show.
Yeah.
We got some good stuff. We got some stories.
Bottom of the hour.
We'll talk more about Robert.
5-minute segment beginning in 3, 2, 1.
And we're back. So anyhow, I want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Ricky Herring up there at State Line Fireworks, and now Portable Buildings, and soon to be vegetable stand. You know, he's a
Oh, yeah.
yeah. This is where I got all my fireworks this year, but it's also
We got all
where
the
we've got our last few buildings from up there, just inside Alabama. And he's a pretty cool dude, man. I always like talking to him. He's a county commissioner, and he works at the sheriff's office, and he's got, fireworks and all that good stuff.
So what's the
he's
vegetable
awesome.
stand? Is he growing his own
Well,
vegetables?
he's going to be a
or-
produce stand.
Okay.
He's building another, believe it or not, another one of those metal buildings up there, and he's going to put a big, huge produce stand in there. And that's on my way home. I pass by there every day, so that's one more place. I got to stop at that other place up there where I
Get you
get
a
my
bigger
pickled
belt.
garlic at with the spicy pickled garlic. I get that. There's another stand up there, but no, he's man. I tell you what, I talked to him and I look around. People talk about how busy folks are, and I look at him and I think he's actually busier than me. But anyhow, he answered. But the funny thing was, I called him. I had to ask him a question. I called him, and we ain't talked in a while. And he goes, "Is this?" The phone rings. He picks it up. He goes, "Is this the Charlie Strickland?" And there's an inside joke on that because I had people sometimes, "Are you the Charlie Strickland?" And I'm like, I don't know. Where would you hear?
Do I owe you money?
You know that guy on the radio? You that guy on the radio? Oh yeah, I'm that. I'm that. I'm not I'm that Charlie Strickland. So it's a different thing. But he answered the phone that way, and I'm like, that's funny.
That happened to the other day in CVS. I got celebritized.
You did?
Yeah, I was trying to order something from behind the counter, and the guy recognized my voice from the radio show. Because he's like, "You Fred Conrad?" And I'm like, "Are you?"
And you're and all the things you've done in your life, and as much alcohol as you've had, you're like, I don't know. I want to answer. I refuse.
I didn't do that.
Answer on the grounds that I might get my rear end whooped.
He's like, "You don't know me," and I'm like, "That's even worse." But a guy recognized my voice.
And he's probably listening right now, so better say something nice about him.
Well, I mean, he was
next
a nice
time
guy. He
he's going
shook
to
my
hit you in
hand
the
and
back of the head.
everything. Said,
He walked away and went, "I finally met that little sawed-off dude."
He is tiny. He is a tiny little bald-headed fella.
Somebody told me one time, "You're not as fat as you sound on the radio." And I went, "What?" He goes, "Well, you always make it sound like you're fat. And you're not that fat." And I'm like, "I never do. I do that? Whatever."
I get folks coming in the store pretty regular and go, "Ah, dang, you a big old boy." You don't sound like that on the radio. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's kind of like them 1-900 calls you make. They never look like they sound.
Well, how would you know?
I just knew somebody who knew somebody
it told you about it.
that told me about it. Yeah.
Well, there was that one time. I don't believe I told that one.
I do not believe I told that.
Oh, I remember. Who was it? The radio guy. Just how big old boy are you anyway?
That's Roy D. Mercer.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah. That's the one that made all the prank calls.
Phil and Brent and Roy D. Mercer, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
My wife was down there.
My
a little
wife
while
Sharon
ago.
Jean was down there to your clinic.
How'd your boots get wet? Where's water? Yeah, that you can't even repeat those calls, but those calls are hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can repeat it, but just not on this show. But
She come down there to you come out of your makeup shop and you said that was like putting lipstick on a pig and she's crying and you just gotta.
I'm finna come down there and whoop your.
brand
You
new
just-
tar and rims, what he needs.
Just how big old boy are you anyway? Okay, well maybe I won't come down.
Yeah, apparently he made those calls from like a hospital bed. He was laid up, nothing to do, and he's bored, so he picked up the hospital phone and started making prank calls to stores.
The funniest one to me of all of those stories is talking about his wife Sharon Jean done been down there to the chiropractic clinic, and said, yeah, she had some of them migraine headaches, and the headaches is better, but lately here I can't get a bead of sweat out of her. I won't go no further than that, but
A migraine headache.
one of them migraine headaches. I've had a week-long migraine headache this week.
It's been a rough week.
So yeah, we got we've had visitors this week.
That's what I hear.
Fun stuff.
We'll be right back. And we're back. So, we just had this long conversation off the air. JD, when we left, JD was talking about we had some visitors. We own a gun store here, folks, and the ATF came in this week and is doing our cycle count. It was our turn, and that's always for any gun store. That's
stressful.
That's kind of like having an IRS audit.
It's exactly like having an IRS audit, except you ain't dealing with taxes; you're dealing with guns.
Yeah. So anyway, we're rolling out of that here the next little while. It doesn't look like anybody's going to shut us down. I think we'll be fine. So y'all come in and
Keep your fingers crossed.
the,
I with the NSSF, the big National Sports Shooting Federation, the people that put on the SHOT Show, the people that represent the gun industry in Congress and lobbying and all that stuff. They send out monthly or biweekly or anytime something happens in the gun world, they send us emails, the updates. And so last year in the country, I think they said 174 gun stores were closed by the ATF, and
scary.
so far this year 54.
Scary.
And a lot of it has to do with politics, and the current administration has been on the president has been on national television and said I'm shutting down these gun people.
Yeah.
And when you get that kind of direction from the top and you get it pushed down through the bottom, and we have to deal with every level in between, and we think we're good on everything. And somebody read a report three rungs up the ladder and said, well, you had the serial number as ABC 12345, and it should have been ABC 12346 because you misread the number. So, and they say that they pull your license for an egregious violation. Well,
I don't think that's
I know. I don't think it's going to happen either, but it doesn't relieve my stress any.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is I can tell you that with the federal government, we might hear back from this in 3 years because it might take a while. Because I can tell you if you do something that violates certain laws in federal, it might take a minute or two to get back to you before you find out what your fine is.
Unless your name's Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you got to hurry up and do that like right here, right now.
Yeah, speaking of politics and what did you say?
We don't talk politics on this show.
But you was talking about politicians and crooked people and whatnot. Are y'all following any of this stuff going on?
Why did like several people's faces just pop into my head right then?
No,
and
I've tried not to.
And they were not at the federal level either.
To be honest with you, Fred, no, I try not to follow any of this stuff.
Well, and I'm looking at it from the
jurist side.
From my standpoint as a lawyer. Law enforcement officers, a good law enforcement officer despises most a crooked law enforcement officer.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the worst thing in the world to a good law enforcement officer. All right. The same holds true with lawyers. When I see a lying, crooked lawyer who is making an appearance on a national stage, that reflects poorly on my profession. And I got into this profession because I thought it was honorable, only to find out that there's some folks that are giving it a bad name. And Fannie Willis is doing that as we speak.
And laughing about it.
Yeah. And she's up there perjuring herself like it's going out of style. She's got others perjuring themselves, other lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had done half of what she's done, what's come out in court so far, I would and should be disbarred and immediately suspended pending disbarment. And the fact that she's still able to walk around with a law license to me is offensive.
Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. It's unfortunately, it's the world we live in today.
It just, for her to sit up there and say, "Oh well, I said it, therefore it's true." I mean, what? How does that work? I mean, what?
Well,
because I said so.
Because I said so.
Because I said so. Yeah.
Rules for thee and not for me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And and then they confront her. I don't know. Did you see the phone records?
Oh yeah.
So she testified. Not only that, this is something else that struck me. They're asking one of the, I guess, her paramour or whoever the dude was that was having an affair with her. This guy's supposedly a trial lawyer, so you would think that he would clue in when they say, okay, if we have phone records that say you visited her condo more than 10 times in 2021. Now, that's a pretty specific question.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
That's a clue.
I'm gonna start wondering.
That's a clue.
How'd you get them?
and I'm a trial lawyer, and I know that trial lawyers don't ask questions of
They don't know the
witnesses that
answer
they
to.
don't already know the answer. And his answer is, well, the phone records would be wrong. Okay.
That's the whole. I saw you with that woman. I saw you run. Wasn't me.
Yeah.
That's the wasn't me defense.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me. I'm the, you say it long enough, somebody go, well, maybe it wasn't them.
Maybe it wasn't you.
Maybe it wasn't you.
And you got these commentators, oh, yeah, it wasn't him.
Make you doubt yourself.
Obviously, it wasn't him.
Yeah, look at him. You know? I don't know.
It's like somebody sent me a picture the other day of a German short-haired pointer and said, they found this dog down so-and-so. Is it yours? And I looked at it and I went, my first impression was, no, that's, wait a minute, where's my dog? I had to go out and look. I had to go look and go, okay, well, obviously, then until I found her, and she was running around in the woods while I was doing something on the equipment. Until I saw her again, I was seriously I'm going pulling up pictures in the thing, going, okay, no, that's not her. That's not her. So that's the wasn't me thing might work on me.
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
I looked right in your
Okay.
face. Wasn't me. I read the tag on the back. It wasn't me.
You must have been dreaming.
I don't know what you saw, but it wasn't me.
Well, when they confronted that one, the other lawyer, the partner, with the text message where, you know, and the question was, you know, were they having this affair in 2021? And they confronted with the text message. And his answer to that on the text message was absolutely. And when they handed him the text, he looked at it, he goes,
Wasn't me.
he goes, dang.
Oh, man.
But you know, nothing's going to come out of all that, and they're still going to prosecute Trump. They're still going to be. It's just this is what our country has devolved to, and this is not good for anybody. It's not good for anybody.
If this was happening in any other country that we did business with, we would have sanctioned them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Until y'all get your business straightened out, we ain't doing no more business.
Yeah.
I got a question for y'all since we're here, and it's been a wild and wacky week, and my phone ain't been working right, even though I don't have AT&T. Does anybody in the room believe that solar flares caused the phone outages with AT&T? Robert, you're down there. This is your area of expertise.
So when it comes down to the RF or radio frequency and the interference, anything can interfere. When you get a solar flare, absolutely, it's going to do it. It's going to cause interference with your transmission.
All right, so next question, follow-up question to that, because I was hoping that's what you would say. Why one carrier and not the rest, since they all use the same hubs, towers, and yada yadas?
The question is what on the back end actually failed? That's the question. I don't think it was RF or solar flare.
Yeah, so the next question was, let's say that's highly unlikely that the solar flare caused these specific problems, and the more likely answer is that they got ransomware or hacked or whatever.
It could have been somebody punched in one keystroke wrong when they were trying to program the back end infrastructure, because there's an entire network that runs the back end.
But we wouldn't call our infrastructure fragile, though.
If you could put human error in it, yeah, it is incredibly fragile. I
So
mean,
the
the same thing happens when level 8 went down a couple of years ago. Somebody made one small keystroke error and pushed it out to every switch across their entire network, and it took down the entire network.
What went down?
I don't know.
It was a couple of years ago. It was the back end of the back end of the internet for the U.S. on the East Coast.
Oh, see, I know about that.
See, it's not unheard of. The biggest solar flare that's ever been recorded is in 1860.
That's correct.
All right, see, I got a JD moment going here. And
Fried all the
it
telegraphs.
fried all the telegraphs. There were people in telegraph offices that got shocked. Some of them got caught on fire.
Yeah.
So imagine if a solar flare of that magnitude happened in today's world.
Scary.
Yeah, I'd be going to Charlie's house.
Because everybody I know has been freaked out all week about the phone stuff not working. So.
Oh, yeah.
But when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what should we do. How about that?
Sounds good.
How about that? Catch me outside.
Yeah, catch me outside. How about that?
Yeah.
I got
Wasn't
a
me.
phone call from them the other day.
Ooh.
With Dr. Phil's group, one of their producers, wanted me to come on the show.
That's a frightening thought.
That's an ambush right there. That's an ambush waiting to happen.
You are not the father.
They done found
You
somebody
are
with
the
something
father.
on you. Hey, we want you to come on the show.
You are.
And any dumbass that goes, all right,
I mean,
without thinking that they setting you up.
when I was working for Willie, I was prosecuting this guy that had beat the snot out of a teacher in the classroom. He'd gotten one of those padlocks and made a brass knuckle out of it and just pummeled her in the classroom. And the juvenile justice department, I think they were called HRS back then, wanted to send him to I think I told you this story before, wanted to send him to like non-judicial sanctions. I wound up putting him in prison. But the case made news because this teacher was left so disfigured. And I got a phone call from the producers of the Geraldo show, wanted me to come on that thing. And I went to talk to Willie. He's like, if you think for 1 second I'm going to let the likes of you represent my office on national television.
Smart man. And we're back.
All right, so with all the technical difficulties, we've simplified things, and I got Paul on my speakerphone, and he can hear me, and I can hear him, and y'all can hear what's going on. So, hey, Paul, how are you today?
Doing great, man. I tell you what, it's raining up here today. This is Friday, day before the show, but man, I tell you what, we've been in cabin fever. We finally went out to go get some lunch, and I came out, I was like, oh, I forgot about the show. So I text Grant. So we're getting it worked out. So I'm glad to be talking to you.
Yeah, buddy. You're in Gunnersville, fishing Lake Gunnersville, right?
Yes, we came up here earlier in the week and got to get up here and do some fishing on this historic lake. It's fun. But I tell you, JD, I'm just spoiled. I'm already missing Lake Seminole, man. I just tell you, it's beautiful up here. I like it. It's nice.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing like home, brother.
I tell you what, it's I've been up there to that lake one time, and it is absolutely scenically beautiful place for sure. And they have caught some. There's been some big bass caught in that place too, from what I could tell.
Yeah, they have been. It's been the bite's been pretty good up here. Water temperature's a lot colder than ours is back home. It's about 52, 53 degrees, and we been catching some bass. Been catching quite a few numbers, and kind of figured out yesterday how to catch some bigger fish. And actually, I sent you a picture of a big old carp that hooked in the back. We must have fought that thing 25 minutes trying to get it to the boat.
I bet you if you foul hooked that thing and had to fight him in, I bet you somebody thought they had tied into a whale, because those things pull like crazy. I've accidentally caught them a time or two.
Right on the top of the dorsal fin, where the hook just went right underneath that. Man, I tell you, that thing, he was never going to come off. It took about 20 minutes to get him in now.
It looks like it weigh about 20 pounds.
Yeah,
or
that
bigger.
thing was huge.
Yeah. Why are you up there fishing? Just out of curiosity. Why aren't you back here in beautiful?
We got a little tournament. We're fishing this weekend. Our Real Money Classic. Me and him fish the trail next year. His dad fishes with his partner. And we got a couple other buddies. We got a place up here. We just do this once a year. We go out of town, and this year it happens to be on Gunnersville and up here having a good time. It's more about the fellowship, and hopefully we can catch some fish come this weekend too.
Yeah, buddy. Well, are you hearing anything from Lake Seminole?
Yes.
Reports?
The waters are still kind of muddy, but the water temperature has warmed up into the upper 50s, low 60s. The bass are actually moving on the bed. I got some guys getting in the truck right now. But I tell you what, it's been really good.
Well, I got a report from a good buddy of mine yesterday afternoon, and he said that some guys went and put in at the 98 bridge on the Apalachicola River, the 98 bridge, and fished from the bridge to the bay and caught bass like every cast, just wide open bass, redfish, trout, flounder, you name it. They were just tearing it up down there with all this high water. So it's that time of year, man. And people need to get out and do it.
Then after towards the end of the month, them shell crackers start moving up back on the bed. And that happens all through the month of April. Then after that, then the brim start bedding in May, you know?
Yes, sir. All right, buddy. Well, thank you for being part of the show. Tell folks how they can get a hold of you if they want to go fishing with you.
Hey, they can reach me at 850-264-7534, or they can follow me on Facebook at Captain Paul Tire Fishing.
All right, buddy. Well, y'all be safe up there and have a good rest of your weekend.
All right, y'all have a great weekend.
See
Be
you, buddy.
blessed.
Bye.
So when we left before the break, that it sounded different because Paul's actually out in the world, but that wasn't bad.
Wasn't terrible.
I could understand him. We were talking about infrastructure and breakdowns, and I know that was something that came up recently.
Technology in general.
Technology. We do EMP protection devices out of the store here, and we talk about that type of stuff. And I had this conversation, oddly enough, just the other day with somebody about what would you do if communications went down, like AT&T cell phone coverage. Everybody freaked out about it, but what if that was more than one network? What if it was all of them? And what if? So what's your plan to get your family? What do our families know to do when that happens? Where do you meet? What do you do? How do you conduct business? I mean, there's a lot of things to think about.
We get, any time that there is the most minor, in today's world, the most minor network interruption, because everything's tied into the internet now. It can be anything from just an annoyance to a serious issue. And I had somebody ask me the same thing. Well, what if the cell phones go down? There's a bunch of apocalypse movies out and about right now that just deal with, or that talk about that the setting of the movie is communications systems going down. There's 2 or 3 movies out that have been made recently about that, and it is a genuine problem in today's world, and the dependency that we have on devices. And the only thing I can tell people is have a plan, a pre-designated place to meet your family, the people that you want in your circle when things get bad, if they get bad. And the other question is, well, how do you know? Well, you're just going to have to kind of use your best judgment. And it's I think that having a shortwave radio, emergency broadcast system radio at the house is probably a good thing. The technology that those run off of is not nearly as complicated as the internet and the cell phone stuff.
What do they run off? They don't run off satellites.
No. Some of them are linked to satellite, but they are ground-based towers. And shortwave radio can go from one radio to another.
Right.
So I actually personally keep I've got a handheld radio that I bought on the internet that is programmable frequencies, everything in the range from VHF. VHF is kind of the low end of the band, very high frequency, and then they have ultra high frequency, UHF.
What about the Citizens band? What is that?
CB is on the VHF scale, if I'm not mistaken. But this radio device that I have, it wasn't expensive. It's got rechargeable, or you can use AA batteries in it. It comes with a rechargeable battery, but it's also, you can put a AA's into a pack, and you can type in the frequency that you want to talk on all the way up into the 800 megahertz band. And there's a bunch of they're not derelict towers. There's a bunch of towers out there with repeaters on them that law enforcement keeps operating. They keep in the operational mode in case the system they have now fails. So it's my understanding that there's a lot of repeater towers out there, and if you can hit that tower, you're sending it to another tower that's sending it to another tower, so it extends your range.
So what you're talking about, I think, here in Florida is called SARNet. That's a ham radio.
There you go.
If you remember back in the day when you're driving down the road, every couple of miles you see a little pull station for emergency. This was predated of cell phones. Those pull stations would run off of that SARNet, which would talk back to DOH or DOT, and they would be able to transport somebody out to help you. Nowadays, the ham radio system, or the ham radio community, actually uses that SARNet for day-to-day communications, as well as when we go into an emergency broadcast or emergency situation, they will actually use that to communicate across the state for hurricanes, outages, stuff like that. So when you're talking back to the AT&T outage, surprisingly, within about an hour, you saw a massive uptick in the amount of both UHF as well as VHF broadcasting on the ham radio bands, which, again, you have to be licensed to do. CB radios, they're a citizen band. There is no license for those.
Right.
They can have those and communicate off of those as well. Those are usually point-to-point, so radio to radio. Ham radio can do it two ways. You can go either radio to radio. If it's HF, you usually are bouncing it off of the atmosphere to bring it down on a wide area. The other alternative is, like you're saying, through SARnet or through a standalone repeater that will take a little handy talk, which gives you 2 to 3 mile range, to somewhere of 50 miles sometimes, depending on the output of that actual repeater.
Right.
But all of those kinds of things require, ham radio licensing.
There's ham radio license for use in times when there is
When somebody can stop you.
when somebody can enforce the law.
You'd actually be surprised, even nowadays, with the FCC and the FTC, all of them, they actually have pods, if you will, that sit there and actually watch and triangulate radio broadcasts. So
I'm talking
in
about
an
it-
emergency.
it's-
Yeah, but when
into
the
the
sky
world
falls, they ain't coming
No,
to do nothing.
Into
but
the world
they will
scenario.
come once a world comes back up and they get that information. They will come after you. There was
I don't
actually
think
a
in the
couple.
post-apocalyptic
Post-apocalyptic.
period that's going to be their biggest concern.
I thought you was fixing to say don't poke the bear, and that's what I was going to say.
Well, that was that maybe,
Now with that said, also you've also got other things like radio based that will actually go over the internet as well. So it's traditional radio that's broadcast digitally over the
So
internet.
is it a good idea to get a handheld CB and hand it out to your family? I mean, is that what?
Depends on your situation and how
Yeah.
far you're looking to
How
communicate.
far?
Across
CB,
town.
Yeah, CB ain't across town for the most part. When you start, it's line of sight. So anytime you have buildings and trees and physical barriers,
Yeah.
that ain't gonna work too good.
It's going to be incumbent upon everyone to be able to get home. The thing should be is my what is my plan? What is my family plan? What are they carrying in their vehicles or on their person that will help them get home? And maybe next show we talk a little bit about what is in our bailout bag. What is in our my vehicle quit running and I had to get to the house? What do I need?
Where do you find out what's in there?
Idea for next time.
Idea for
See you all
next
next time.